All right, good morning everyone, and thank you for joining for us today's webinar. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics and functions of this webinar that we'll be using today. So during the entire session, we expect everyone to stay on mute with respect to the presenters and to ensure the quality of the entire session. Today's webinar is also being recorded, so we will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your colleagues, and we also invite your comments and questions. So you can join the Q&A by sending your questions in the chat box. By participating, you may have a chance to get a token. So if you have a question for the speaker at any point in time, just type it there and I will pose it to our speaker for the discussion portion at the end of the presentation. If we still have enough time after all the questions in the Q&A chat has been answered, we will open the floor for live questions. For live questions, just press the raise hand button so we can unmute that person and ask the question live. Now, are you ready to meet today's speaker? We actually have prepared an interesting topic for today's session. But before that, let me again greet you. Good morning. And I'm Leonard Marcelino, the Marketing Manager of Field Data Business Systems, Inc. And we are glad that you are able to join us for today's virtual event. Allow me to thank you for taking your time from a busy schedule, and I hope that everyone is safe and healthy from your respective homes or workplace. As for me right now, I am hosting this event from home and as well as most of our team members. So I think mostly, if not all, have shifted to virtual events. As they say, this is now the new normal. Like us, we are doing these webinars to engage and help our customers like you and partners to adopt to help you maximize your productivity and investment on the solutions that you already have. While some businesses are doing the new normal, we know that the IT industry has always been busy as usual. So that's why our team came up with this series of events to help you by sharing product updates and what more you can do with the Microsoft solutions that you already have. But before that, let me introduce to you our friends and partner from RIPE. With me right now is Paul Villena, the Business Development Manager for RIPE. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Laylord. Good morning. Good morning to our attendees.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Phil
How are you
Data.
today?
I'm good. I'm good, Laylord. How are you?
I'm doing great. Okay. So, um, for the benefit of our audience for today, can you please
Mm-hmm.
share something about yourself and what you do as well as what our audience today needs to know about RIPE and Microsoft?
Okay, sure. Thank you for that, Laylord. So, I'm Paul Villana. So, I'm one of the business development manager at Ripe Philippines. So, our main goal of working with Phil Data is actually to help Phil Data to gain access to the latest and greatest cloud technology, as well as on how we can help them empower on how to fully utilize cloud to its greatest potential. And today we are also focused on how we can help Phil Data to come up of COVID stronger and more resilient than before. So with Ripe, Ripe is actually a regional cloud distributor. We have different physical offices around the globe, wherein we focus more on in the Asia Pacific region and also New Zealand and Australia. So our presence to different locations actually enables us now to see how the global pandemic change and creates a different pressures for every businesses on how we can help them and also their customers respond quickly and effectively nowadays.
All right. Thank you for that, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And very well said. So thank you so much for enlightening us on how RIPE and Microsoft and Phil Data are working together in helping our customers. So Paul and the team will actually be staying on the online with us throughout the event. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
questions for any one of us, you can send it through chat and we will be able to more than happy to assist you. Now, to kickstart the program, I would like to introduce to us, of course, our business unit head for Microsoft in Phil Data. For her welcome note, Miss Eileen Gutierrez.
Thank you very much, Lay, and good morning, everyone. It is a privilege to host you all in the Power BI session. Thank you for making your time. We are in this period where economies are pivoting and stakeholders are looking at ways to stay afloat. Even business leaders are asking about information or data by which they can plan or strategize. Normally, office people like us are always ending up scrambling on ways we can give the reports to our leaderships. Furthermore, decisions must be data driven. It is important that we have the right tools to be able to generate reports and analytics. It is in this vision that we are bringing forth this Power Platform series. We had two sessions 2 Thursdays ago, and today's Power BI session is a good opportunity for us to learn how we can use data and analytics back in our organizations. To those of you who were with us in the Power Automate and Power Up session with our own digital strategist, Riza Nasis Valencia, please accept my sincerest gratitude. Today, I invited a friend in the industry to share with us his knowledge around Power BI. You're all in for another excellent session. Thank you, and a pleasant good morning again to everyone. Back to you, Lay.
Thanks, Miss Eileen. Our speaker's vision is to democratize business apps for the Filipino people. He is a Microsoft MVP for Biz Apps and a co-founder and CEO of Active Collab Inc., a technopreneur and a power platform Azure and Dynamics 365 PH community leader. His experience encompasses IT support, ERP practice management, project management, and various executive leadership roles in tech. Today, he will bring to us a tech talk on Power BI in 45 minutes. Let us welcome Paul Soliman, our guest speaker for today.
Hello, guys. Thank you, Laylord. Thank you, Eileen, for that wonderful introduction, and Paul Villena, and also Rachel for inviting me here. Um, uh, so technically, I prepared a presentation. I'm gonna share my screen later, right, Laylord? uh, so yeah, so just a bit of introduction. So I'm Microsoft, the first Filipino MVP here in the Philippines for business applications, and right now I'm venturing with with the community for me to develop talent in terms of bringing business applications as a career here in the Philippines. So that's why we're founding Citizen Dev for All.org. So it's a organization that focuses on Power Platform and Dynamics 365 for us to be able to to harness the talent here in the Philippines. Just an introduction. All right, let me share my screen now. Okay. Okay, can you see now my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I can start already. So technically, BizApp PH was founded because we have this ASEAN backing in the Microsoft region. So right now we're of course doing some community events and talks also and training. I don't know if some of you attended our sessions already, but I encourage you to also join the community. I think Phil Data was also there. Some of Phil Data members and also Rep. So we encourage you to join the community because this talk is not gonna like give you an in-depth, but more of a solutioning perspective and some demo. But if you join the community, you can see a lot of in-depth learnings there, and tips and tricks in other sessions. Okay, so let me start. So technically, the goal of this session in 45 minutes is to describe the business value and features of Power BI. I just hear some background noise. Okay, so number two, to see how Power BI works and looks from the user's perspective in some scenario. And then I called it the sample or the demo. So it's gonna be a basic in combination of the AX that we're gonna be discussing later. So so, some disclaimer. So technically, most of the time I need to shift my screen because this is the problem with doing event online, because I'm gonna be doing the demo, so I need to shift to my PowerPoint to my Power BI desktop, and also later if you need to ask question, I might show some URL or website. Okay, all right. So I think you discussed already on your past session about Power Platform, but for me, again, to reiterate, is Power Platform is really built to empower citizen developers and pro developers as well. But of course, 70% of what Microsoft is doing now in Power Platform is more towards on the citizen developer empowerment. So Power BI is part of the Power Platform suite of Dynamics of Microsoft in terms of business application, and it's not a standalone application that you can have business logic already. Just to be clear, so there are standalone application that can be consumed already, like Dynamics 365. Office 365 in terms of productivity and having a CRM, having an ERP. So why we're discussing this, because we want you to understand that Power Platform is a tool for you to extend those kind of application, all right? And creating a new application can be done using common data service, if you want to create from scratch. But Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent are tools for you to extend the business application suite, or even the productivity, or we call it the modern workplace today, like Microsoft Teams application, for us to be able to give more value to our, of course, users and stakeholders in our operations or in our project. All right, so I got so many articles in LinkedIn. You can follow me in LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So I really push this forward to for you to have an understanding of what citizen developer is, and I think Power BI is really a tool for citizen developer. So we know citizen developer before, but it's not. We don't call them citizen developer yet before. Like if you're familiar with Power Pivot or in Excel, macro or something. So those tools are a tool for citizen developer. So the citizen developer terminology, just discovered or invented, a few years ago. But technically, we're doing this already, even in the Excel, um, um, even in our Excel project. So just a bit of a background. So citizen developer refers to an end user. Okay, it's an end user who creates new application or program. So I myself today, because I'm not anymore a developer. So by profession, I'm an enterprise architect. But by using the power of Power Platform, especially Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Apps, I can now enable myself to create new application again without learning, of course, to do a code base. This developer is not a professional developer. It's not a pro dev who is paid to code, of course, but an amateur. I can't say that citizen developer is an amateur. There are some, unique traits or unique character that citizen developer has. Okay, better than the developers or pro developers, and citizen developer in terms of building application are more advantageous, because a citizen developer is both end user, meaning the process owner, plus the tools expert. So the good thing about this, why am I discussing this, is if you go to Power BI proper itself, you need to understand that you don't even need to be a data scientist, you don't even need to be a programmer to really create a dashboard or analytics or a report using these tools like Power BI. So this is the logo, the new logo of Power BI, by the way. So this was announced from Ignite that's happening now. So I had a session yesterday about Power Platform table talks, and I will be having a session later about in the Ask the Expert session for for modern workplace and Power Platform as well. All right. So for me, I always use this analogy of explaining Power BI, or not an analogy but a simple explanation for you to understand what Power BI really is. For me, Power BI is number one. It's a business intelligence. Okay, it is more enterprise-ish, but we can't really shy away from this terminology because Power BI is really enterprise. It can be for SMBs, it can be for small business or other things, or even individual person. But we need to understand that Power BI is really made for us to really have a good intelligence tool for our businesses. Number two, interactive insight. So when I imagine Power BI, it's the we call them static and dynamic, actually, dynamic report, static report. But for me, Power BI is combined, meaning it's interactive. When we say interactive, or having an interactive insight, we can control Power BI, we can talk to Power BI, we can use Power BI as our Google. We will be showing that later. Technically you can be one with Power BI because you can interact with the report. Not only when we say dynamic, if the data moves, then the report moves. Not only Power BI can do more of that. Can put an interactive insight for those dynamic reporting that you have already, like in SAP, like in Tableau or something like that. And and for me to explain how Power BI works, I always lean towards this three words: connect, clean, and model. So technically, connect is having a multiple sources. So just to explain, Power BI is a cloud-based application. Okay, I think you know that already, but it can also connect to your on-premises database using some of available connectors already in the Power Platform connector. It can be also connects to your Power Automate connector, to your Power Apps connector. And the good thing about this also is if you have CSV flat file or even a text file, you can use those application. You can use those sources to to transform it into a dashboard. So that's what I'm gonna do later in my sample or in my demo, that I'm just transforming a simple Excel file and a bit of like consulting consulting tips and tricks for you to be able to create a good report. All right. And then next is cleaning. So Power BI is not only there for you to, of course, to get sources, but to also clean that. We call that scrubbing. We call that data wrangling. Sometimes we call it sanitation, denormalizing, normalizing data. All of those are, um, being being Power BI, all of those features are available inside Power BI, and there's a lot more. You can do AI driven cleaning there, transfer data transformation. Sometimes you call it ETL. So everything is in Power BI in terms of cleaning our data. And lastly, Power BI can be also used as model. So when we say data modeling, before we called it cubing. If you're familiar with that, if you're into TM1 or IBM Cognos, we usually do cubing. The good thing about Power BI is you can save your data model. You can empower your data model using DAX or the analysis expression. So technically, the good thing about Power BI is a complete package already. All right. So in terms of consuming it, so you need to understand also, okay, that this is just a tool. It's not a person. So technically, you need to understand the user persona of who's gonna use Power BI. That's why it's very important that you're familiar with the Power BI desktop, to the Power BI service, which is online, and the Power BI mobile. Because not all the dashboard and reports are gonna be fitted to a mobile view. Or of course, in terms of analyzing let's say for example a financial statement, I would rather use the Power BI service and the Power BI desktop than to go to my mobile app. So technically, you need to understand that Power BI has a lot of channel for you to be able to please your users. Plus API. When I say API, Power BI also is not only can be, or not is not limited to these services, to the desktop, to the service, and to the Power BI mobile. If you're a developer here, or if you're trying to create a website or a web application or even a mobile app, Power BI can also be embedded on those customized reports. Are we asking something or just a noise? So don't so please feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. All right. So what is my ideal analytics tool? So technically, I want it to be secured. I want it to be democratized. I want it to be scalable. So let's talk about security later, democratizing later, and scalability later. But so for my in my opinion, if you want to acquire or get an analytics tool or something to be na you want to have analytics as your career, meaning citizen developer, if I may use that word, or if you want to be a data scientist, you need to understand that right now analytics tool should be secured, can be democratized, because you don't only deal with programmers and data scientists, you also deal with your end users, and it can be scalable, meaning how much data can your analytics tool store? Of course, we're going to talk about SQL, SRSS, ETL, big data, NoSQL. Some of those application, of course, it's scalable. But the problem is when you're loading that already in your report, is your report or dashboard still going to be scalable if we're talking about 100 terabyte of data in a one dashboard, something like that. So this just having this ideal analytics tool, but it's not ending there. If you want to have a good grasp of um, having this understanding on getting Power BI as a career, or having Power BI as a career, or having a good report in your organization, or just if you're a hobbyist or something, there's always a pattern in terms of doing a solutioning, and this is actually what lacking here in the Philippines, because our problem is always we're good at skills, we can Google skills, we can go to Microsoft Learn to learn skills, but the problem is our solutioning perspective. Okay, sometimes you don't understand what our clients, or what is your what is your what your boss really wants, what your colleague really wants, because we always go to the technical part rather than doing first the empathic listening. So in sales, we have a term, always be closing, but I'm gonna flip that out in terms of doing solutioning inside my organization or even with your clients. So I'm quite it always be solving. So this is applicable not only in Power BI, but if you're into like software development, or into Power Apps, into Power Automate, you need to always be solving. Number one, empathic listening. Just listen to the pain points of the client, or your boss, or your teammates, or whoever. Just be open minded, because they know the pain. All right, you need to understand their pain before you like create a solution, and always use a persona-driven approach, a user persona-driven approach. And if you're into Scrum, just always get the user story. I'm not anymore fan of functional requirements. I think that's good to complement with user story, but I cannot live anymore without the user story. So when I'm creating a dashboard or a report, I always go back to my user stories for me to understand that this particular user has a need of this particular report. All right? And lastly, do not over-engineer. All right? We're going to talk about DAX here, some sort of like a basic one, but you don't need to always use the DAX form, because there's a lot of, reports already in Power BI in terms of visualization that you can use without even creating your own DAX formula. I'm going to be discussing that later. So another good formula here is to find a good source of your data and find the good model, and that will be equal to a good report and dashboard. So sometimes dashboard solutioning or reporting solutioning are failing because you don't have a good source. Let's admit that. The problem with that is you're always, going to the technical, wrangling, scraping data, but at the end of the day, you can't really please your client or your boss because you don't have a good solutioning perspective and a source of data that is good. You don't need to invent the data as citizen developer or even in IT. We're just an enabler. We're not gonna feed data to the dashboard. The data needs to come from a good source. Okay, so in terms of Power BI security, just a bit of FAQ. So it's built on Azure. So there's a lot of information in the technical white paper. I always read the white paper for me to be able to explain that for example for this one. So Power BI is not just a Power BI desktop and service that you see on the front end, but if you will dissect the whole capability and security of Power BI, imagine having this Azure Blob, this Azure SQL database, the Fabric, and something like that. Because I'm a fan also of Azure PaaS, so I understand the architecture of this. So it means that Power BI is deployed in a secure environment on Azure, and this is not a monolithic approach. When I say monolithic, when one service is down, every Power BI will shut down. No. So technically, sometimes if you're into Office 365, Microsoft sends the advisory if they're degrading some of the service, but it doesn't affect holistically your, let's say, Power BI service or your Power BI connection, because some of this because the components are not into a one single system, so they are decentralized. Okay, so in terms of security, there's a service that handles our username and password, and that's connected to Azure Active Directory or your Office 365. So the good thing with this, if you just turned off the Power BI license for a user, then that user will not be having an access to a Power BI if you're the Office 365 admin. So sometimes the issue is, nag-resign na ako, I still have my access. The good thing about Office 365 or Microsoft 365 or AD, if you're using that, just cut the license, then they cannot anymore access their Power BI reports that was shared to them. All right, specific for them. Okay, disclaimer: you can share Power BI in public by just sending a link. But what I'm talking about here is a Power BI report that was shared to your colleague, to your teammate, or to your boss. Okay, just remove the license in Office 365, and that's it. You can't anymore access Power BI. And democratization, so it's a drag and drop feel here. Visualization are easy to understand. It has a social media like sharing, and of course understanding the DAX, which is part of Excel Power P. But before, if you know how to use Excel formula, it's literally something like that. So you don't need to learn programming language or data science approaches for you to be able to create a sophisticated report and dashboard in Power BI. And now, just for me to plug this one. So Power BI is now super scalable. Before, it's 100 gig. I think if you go to the Power BI pricing model, I think the limit there for premium is 100 terabyte. But for this one, when we say for 100 gigabytes larger, what happened is, we can store large models already in Power BI Premium. All right, so just go to the AKS large models if you're trying to store something that is more than 50 60 gig inside Power BI. When we say storing into a model, meaning that's gonna be static data inside the model. So meaning yan yung hindi nag-change, no? So because of the power of course, because Power BI Premium is hosted on Azure, it can really store for 100 gig um, larger data, all right, in a static model, no? And that's for me, that's a good one because I don't need to anymore go to my source, then read it, go to my Oracle, go to my SQL, and read it. So if the data is not that interchanging, or quick frequently changes, then you can just store your data through a larger model in Power BI Premium. So I think it solves you, it gives you scalability in terms of doing Power BI. All right, so I'm gonna do my sample now. So this is the scenario. So how much time I have now? So I have I think 10 minutes. So yeah, so 10:46. Yeah, so I have 10 minutes. So I'm gonna try to finish my dashboard in 10 minutes. So this is the scenario again. in terms of scoping, you need to understand your manager. For this one, your manager is asking, by the way, guys, you can see the tutorial. I'm going to post the link later on how to do this. Which month and year had the most profit? So my manager is asking for an executive summary of my report. Where is the company seeing the most success by country? Which product and segment should the company continue to invest? So this one, you cannot give this to your manager by just, giving him or her an Excel table, which I'm gonna be transforming later into a dashboard. All right. As a citizen developer, you need to do chismis or gossip with your colleagues. So technically, we know that Montana product was discontinued. So you need to understand that if I create a dashboard later, I need to exclude Montana already. I want some of my colleagues also saying that my executive, my boss wants to have a executive style, because of course this is very common sense. And of course my boss will not like a cartoon or anime type of theme in my Power BI. And geographical, meaning I want to see the geographics of my report. So to do that, sharing my Power BI. Okay, so technically this is my source. So I just download it here. This one is a sample. So technically, if I need to create a report, yes, you can do it in Excel, but you cannot. Excel is very limited, but it's powerful. But if you want to really create a dashboard that can be shared and has a security, then it's better to do it in Power BI. This one cannot be understood by my boss because of course that's a boss. So he doesn't want, or she doesn't want to browse this, filter something here, create a chart here. So I need to give my boss a tangible output or a dashboard that can be shared. All right, so let's go to the Power BI. I'm not a data scientist. I'm just a citizen developer. So in terms of following the rule, or just understanding my boss's need, I can now be able to create a report for him. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is to create a report title, because I want to say that this report title will of course be beneficial, or sorry, so they can know the report um, um, in a one single view. Okay, just do this. So you don't need to, really dwell with that. Let's say this is gonna be executive dashboard. Let me just turn off my aircon because my hand is so cold. So I'm gonna put executive dashboard, executive summary finance report here. So we can arrange that later. Okay, then try to sorry, not underline. Try to enlarge this one. All right. Sorry, there's like a blinking something because I'm sharing it in Teams. Can you see my Power BI already? Baka mamaya dire-diretso ko, di nyo pala nakikita. Hello?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. So, what I'm gonna do now is to, of course, export or import my report here, right? So, importing a report, because I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna transform my Excel file here. So, I'm gonna pick Excel as my report, right? So, let me just, oops, sorry, because it's open. Sorry for that. I need to close this one. All right, so you can do get data. So I just want to show get data for you. If you're first time here that uses Power BI, you can see all the sources, and even online services are available. All right, the third-party applications are available here in the online services of Power BI, together with Dynamics and any other Microsoft connector. So I'm gonna go to all. I want to, of course, do the basic one, the basic source, which is my finance report. It's in Excel file. So what I'm gonna do now is to, of course, to model this, right? So first time the data loads, so technically I just need to click this one, what I want to, of course, load as a data. So before I go to creating visual and other things, I want to transform first the data. Again, as I mentioned, it's gonna be your analytics should be able to give you a transformation window that's gonna be easy to understand for the end user. Can you see my transformation window? Not. Okay, so I need to share my transformation window. All right, so this is my transformation window. So here you can see that everything on the Excel file is here already. The first thing that I want to do to transform my data is to just put the unit sold to whole number, so I won't need to do average or something like that. In Power BI, the good thing about this is you don't need to convert each other, this one by one, or even copy pasting to Excel and then converting it to Power BI. Here it can already transform your data, just changing the data type of this particular column or field. So I'm gonna replace this one. I just want to have this as my whole number. All right. So as you can see, the data was transformed already. Okay. So all right. Depends on your memory. Okay. Power BI is in columnar, meaning it uses your RAM to read it. So I'm just having my 8 gig RAM in my Surface Pro, but sometimes it will take time to load it because of my RAM. But if you're into Azure server using Power BI Premium, you will not encounter this kind of slow phase. Um, Next thing that I want to do is to transform my the name of this into uppercase. So what I'm gonna do now is to just transform this into uppercase format. All right. All right. Then my modeling is done already. So I can also rename the month name because I want to easily understand that. Just double click it. Sorry. Say month. And what I still want to do is, because the Montana product, it says there that it's not being sold anymore. So what I'm gonna do is to just filter my report to exclude my Montana product. As you can see, I don't need to to like put a formula here like Montana is not equal to blah blah blah, or product is not equal to blah blah blah. So what I need to do is just to uncheck here, uncheck this, then I'm gonna filter that without the Montana. All right. So in terms of doing this, as you can see that I did not put any single line of code for me to transform my data already. Of course, if you have complex data, you might need to, but what I want to show you is that even your citizen developer can already do this. And the applied steps are here. If you want to, roll back, just press X, 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 and it will go back to that original state before I created that particular procedure. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is to close and apply this already, because I want to, go back to my Power BI visual modeling. So I'm gonna share my screen again. Sorry. All right. So where's my Power BI? Okay. There you go. So technically, the first thing that I need to do, since I have model already, you can see that I have model here. What I want to do now is to, create visual already. But I just want to convert a date. This is what I'm telling you. Because my date, if you can see, if I'm just gonna flash this, this is not, converted to something that I can, use, right? So if I go back to the transformation pane, you see my date is not that good, right? So this one. So I want to convert this to a more meaningful date. So I'm gonna use DAX now. I'm gonna create a table for me just to compute the date properly. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'll rename this table as my calendar. So meaning the first syntax that you see is gonna be the table name and what formula do I need to use. So you can just search this one in the DAX library. So what it will do is to just convert this. Then I'll say date. Um, Sorry for that. And I'll say 2013 because I have 2013 transaction here, and I want to convert also this 2014 transaction to a date. And yeah, there. So for you to be able to see if my formula is correct, I needed to press this one, and it should, there you go. So it's converted the date already to this particular format that I need. So I'm going to be in a more deeper session where we can talk about that, about DX. For just for this session, what I'm going to do now is to, compile this to my visual. So technically, because I'm finished doing that, I can now relate that, all right, relate that particular field to my newly established measurement or relationship. I can now create my visual. So just give me 5 minutes. I think we're over time, but I'm gonna pull this off. So technically, what I want to do is to have a report that will give me the dates of my profit. So what I'm gonna do is just to create this date and create this or check this profit, and it will create a dashboard or table by itself. So the good thing about here, you can see that I did not pick any visualization, but Power BI was able to intuitively create a chart that is really gonna display my profit and my date. So what next thing that I need to do is to, um is to create a to convert this to date hierarchy only, because I just want a date. I don't want to use the hierarchy. So for me to be able to do that, I just say date, all right? Because I don't want to use the date hierarchy or something. And what I'm gonna do is to convert this up to a line bar. Okay. All right. So next thing to do is to, because I have a requirement also that I need to have a profit per country. So what I'm gonna do is to create a profit per country report. So country, profit, right? You can just go to the map or something, but for here, I want to show you that without even selecting a chart, because it detects that I'm querying a country, so Power BI followed this already. The next, what I want to also show in my report is sales by product and by segment. So by just clicking sales, by just clicking, segment, I can already have this products and sales segment in my Power BI dashboard. So, sorry, I forgot to put my product. There you go. So without even doing a code, I combine three column already. Then I'm gonna beautify that later. So next is I want to put slicer, right? So that's also one essential in the report, because I want my manager to have a filter of a particular report that I am doing. So slicer is something like this. Sorry. Okay, just Control Z. So I want to create a slicer. Then I want to of course view it as my date. Okay. And as you can see, the visual was transformed already. So I'm gonna like just remove this one. Okay. Wait. I just want to just do year and month. Okay. So you can see my slicer transformed already. So this one gonna be my filter. All right. And what I'm gonna do is to beautify my report. So I want it to be more executive look. So there are predefined themes already here. Say this is executive look. Where's that? There you go. So it will transform to more executive, not colorful report. I can already test this, by the way. So technically, if you want to, filter all 2014, everything will follow already, will load already. You can see that in 2014, my highest sales is in October. Then my biggest sale is in what country? France. And then I have this segment. My biggest sale is more of government, small business, and other things. So I already satisfied the the um the what do you call this, the requirements of my boss. So I can have more beautification for this one, but for the sake of time, as you can see, I can share this to my boss already. All right, I can publish this to my Power BI to my Power BI services for me to be able to, you know, to have a complete to have a complete project for my boss. So I created it already because I know for the sake of time I will not be able to finish this. So I created it already a while ago. So let me open my sample Power BI report. Okay, it's opening now. There you go. So I open a more beautified, or if I may use that word, or na mas pinaganda na, because I did this before the our session. So ginawa ko na po to I think 30 minutes before this session. But of course, it's so easy. I can really do that for 5 minutes, right? Of course, yung mga theming and yung kaartihan, like putting shadow or something, you can do that later on. But I think the gist of this is you can see that I have a complete report already that I can show to my boss and I can share to my boss. Like to give you some sample, you know, a more in-depth study, sorry, a more in-depth reporting, or a more AI driven reporting of Power BI. Actually, there's a lot of, you know, visual in the marketplace, even the translator or something, the narration report. That's always my favorite report because it can give me um, this kind of natural language from a Power BI. Let me just find that way. I think it's not narration. And then you can just post that because it's really free. You can add something there without even buying this you know, this narration, or sorry, this is kind of, you know, visualization in your Power BI. So you can just pick there if this standard visualization is not enough for you. Okay, so I think I can accept question already, Laylord, while looking for that report that I've meant.
All right. Sige. Um, the first question that we have here on the chat is what is the license requirement for Power BI, especially when sharing the dashboard to other users? The version bundled with the Office 365 E3, is it sufficient?
Okay, good question. So technically, we have, so Microsoft trimmed it down. So we have Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium. That's what we're only talking about. So the free inside Office 365 are Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service that you cannot, it cannot be shared. Meaning you can be a creator and a maker, but there's a limitation in terms of sharing that. Like wait, let me just show it. So let's discuss that, no problem. All right, so let me go to that. All right, here, as you can see, this Power BI Pro that I'm mentioning is included in the E5, but not in the E3. So what you have in E3 is the Power BI free. What you can do is to, of course, use that, and it's free. You can, like what I did. I just, you know, get something from here. Then I created my Excel workbook and BI report already. So if you want to stay in free, what you need, if you will work around it, you don't want to buy Pro. You can just ask your boss to install Power BI desktop and give him the PBIX file for him to be able to consume your report, no? But if you want to share your report, you need at least Power BI Pro in terms of cloud, okay? So in terms of incremental data refresh, also it's very important that you have a license, and of course everything that is into encryption and security. You need a Power BI Pro for you to be able to consume those features that doesn't have the free one. Okay.
All right. So thank you. Our next question is, what is Power BI Premium?
What is Power BI Premium? Okay, so technically Power BI Premium is a dedicated instance, okay? Usually we call that Power BI on Azure because Microsoft, sorry, what am I sharing? Nawala eh. Okay. So technically we called it Power BI on Azure because Power BI Premium is dedicated. So you will have an Azure instance or VM hosted Power BI uh, VM powered Power BI that you can use that as to compute a more dedicated data for you, or even large data, big data. Because here well, Power BI Pro is good in terms of computing heavy data, but of course it's better if you have dedicated server for you to be able to have this capability of infusing big data to your sophisticated report already, or having multiple sources. Let's say for example you have SAP, you have Oracle, and you want to combine those data into a one single dashboard. So it's better that you have Power BI Premium. It has also this maximum size of individual data set. It's 10 gig. So it's individual data sets, meaning one data set for me is Excel, one data set for me is SQL, so something like that. So the maximum storage for the model is also 100 terabyte, but based on the subscription. That's why here in Power BI Premium, it has a consultation services that you need to ask, because it needs to be really scope what data you're trying to put in, or what data are you trying to consume. So it's better to have a consulting partner for you to be able to use Power BI Premium.
All right, thank you. The next question is, can I use this to create a program to consolidate all our clients or suppliers' details, like company name, contacts, email, etc., and make a link to a SharePoint where we saved all the invoices?
Good question. So technically, SharePoint online and Power BI is a good combination, but you need to understand that you need to at least have the Power BI Pro. So if you want to embed a Power BI report to your SharePoint intranet or portal, you can do that. But you need to have at least Power BI Pro for your user to be able to consume that. Now, in terms of question, can I get my customer details, my supplier details into a one single dashboard or reports? Yes, it's possible. You just need to create your data sets. And if you're into SharePoint, which is my favorite tool because it's free in my Office 365, SharePoint is a good for me. I'm gonna use my architecture. I'm gonna wear my enterprise architecture hat here. If you're trying to, for you to be able to not to spend too much in terms of like buying more Microsoft licenses. If you want to have a combination of your supplier information, customer information, then use SharePoint to, as a single point of truth of your reporting tool. Because SharePoint is, of course, you can create SharePoint list that has those kind of information if you don't want to get something from the multiple sources. The problem with Power BI is if you're gonna do a direct query, or the refresh timing of that. So if you're into outside system, then there's that issue of having direct query and refresh timing if you are querying a lot of data. So that's why please normalize your data first. The good thing to take note, if SharePoint can handle naman those kind of data. Wag lang sobrang dami. If you have sobrang dami data, then you need to create an Azure SQL or an Azure blob tables for you to be able to normalize that. For me, I'm going back to my architectural hat. What I was saying is to always create a data sanitation point or a single point of truth for all of your data before going to Power BI. But yes, you can embed Power BI to your SharePoint for one single experience. Meaning, if I log in as Paul Suliman, then the Power BI was shared to me. Then if I log into the SharePoint, I can see my Power BI report there already. But just make sure that it was shared. Because even if you embed the Power BI report in your SharePoint, it was not shared to that particular person, the security measure will still run. So that person inside the SharePoint will not be able to consume your Power BI.
We have M365 E5. How can we maximize the function of Power BI?
Okay, so solutioning perspective number one. All right, because it has, I think E5 has capability to use Power BI Pro. So okay, number one, just you need to have a clear direction of your digital transformation strategy before I can answer how to maximize your Power BI. So number one, if I'm just gonna give you like a suggestion, usually if you have I don't know, HR KPIs in Excel, um, if you're doing Power Platform also, it's better to use your Power BI to not everyone to share that Excel file in OneDrive, for example, or use Power Apps. All right, so don't ask everyone to use Power Apps. If that is a manager, and if that manager just want to see a dashboard or analytics or a report, then that's where you can use your Power BI embedded inside your E5. No, so think of like every managers that should only see reporting dashboard and doesn't need to encode, doesn't need to capture data from teams, doesn't need to have an app, then use Power BI for that. Then you're maximizing your Power BI already.
Okay. And our next question is also interesting. Can Power BI connect to NAV 2018 for easy report processing?
Good question. So my favorite Dynamics product is Nav. So my daughter name is Nav because that was my favorite tool since 2010. Yeah, so technically Nav 2018 and even Business Central has a connector already in Power BI. So the good thing with that is if you're into NAV, so we have what we call query object, right? So there are pre-created Power BI report for Business Central and NAV 2018 and even 2016, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So those Power BI tools, or report, standard report can be consumed by NAV already, and you can vice versa. You can also attach or embed Power BI on NAV 2018 and Business Central as well. So in terms of like asking um, can we use Power BI to NAV 2018 without even doing data transformation or whatever? Yes, because there are predefined reports already in NAV 2018 that is Power BI enabled.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can Power BI dashboard be embedded in existing website?
Yes, so that's what I was saying on the consume how to consume Power BI. So if you're into website development or web app or even mobile app development, so Power BI can be consumed number one through iframe. So if your web application or mobile app can render iframe, then you can use Power BI. But just a disclaimer, you need to understand that even Power BI Pro, of course, can support that motion, but you need to understand in terms of the security level that you need to plan that, right? So meaning assess first where do you want to share that. So number one, if you're sharing that to multiple, let's say I have 20 customers. So I need to understand that if I share a Power BI and I did not plan my security or I don't have APIs, all right, that is really for that particular customer, then sometimes in the Power BI level, it might not secure that particular data, right, if you have multiple sources. So the good thing with that is plan first the API and create a Power BI report strictly to that API for one customer, then create another API, create a Power BI report for that, and then share every Power BI report that you have, or just create a one single Power BI report, but it needs to connect to your different APIs per customer, or not only for customer, but but if you're sharing that to multiple, multiple entities outside your organization. Just to add there, so we're in the community and also in Microsoft, we're trying to utilize the docs at microsoft.com, so everything that you need there. So as MVP, I'm gonna be having my exclusive docs that Microsoft later on, so all of the MVPs are around the world will be able to share our work inside the docs.microsoft.com. So like this one, of course, this was created by internal Microsoft product group. But later on, because I'm sharing also my work in GitHub and also in LinkedIn, it might be shared to docs.microsoft.com as well for like sample reports, how to do this, how to do that. So please take note of that, and also go to Microsoft Learn if you want to have this kind of in-depth knowledge about Power BI and also Power Platform or even Dynamics 365.
Yes, sir. We cannot see the shared SharePoint site with the Power BI embedded on it. We have to uh, try the free license first, or we have to log in for the free license for the 30 days before we can see the dashboard on the
Ah,
SharePoint.
so did you okay? So is the one who created the report has a Power BI Pro?
Yeah, they have
Okay.
licensed Power BI Pro.
And then when you share that into the using SharePoint, iframe, something like that, what exactly you cannot see? The whole report, you need to click, then you need to go to the Power BI application, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it prompt to the Power BI site, and we have to log in first and try the full version for 30 days.
But you, okay, I think what you need to check your sharing in inside Power BI. There's a lot of choices there on how you want to share a specific Power BI report. Maybe you're sharing the whole report, not only a portion of it. So it can be like that. We can I mean I can after this later, if you want to send screenshot to me, or I can email back for the specific question. I need to understand how
Yes,
you
sir.
share the report first. But
Okay, sir.
again, check
Sige po.
first the permission, sir. You need to check the permission if that matches to your Power BI in SharePoint.
Okay, sir. We'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next question we have here is, what is a slicer?
All right. So slicer is like our in Power Pivot, we have filters, right? And also we can do slicer. So technically slicers are your filter. So it's an individual filter that you can of course organize based on the specific need of your boss or manager. Let's say for example, the one that I did, it's a filter for dates. So if you don't use a slicer, you will have a hard time clicking those Power BI chart just to get the date. Let's say 2014, month of October or something. But if you have slicer, and here some in my I think left pane of my screen, I just put date there so I can easily uncheck, check, select all of the dates that I want. Then it will reflect to the whole report already.
All right. So we're down to our last two questions. Do we need license to use Power BI? And does each user need individual licenses to use Power BI, or there is a group license?
Okay. Power BI has a free license. We call it the Power BI Desktop, right? And it has also Power BI Service, but it's very limited. So if you want to create a report in Power BI that's free, all right? Even if you don't have Office 365, it's gonna be free. It can be standalone. If you want to share or to have, again, as I mentioned, the ability to do good refresh rate, big storage for your models, you need to have a Power BI Pro. Okay. So you need to license one of your, report maker. But I need to check, okay, maybe there's an update that you can't anymore do that, but there's no announcement yet. But for us, we're consuming it in a way that you just need to license one report maker, dashboard maker, for them to be able to share the Power BI itself. Okay? So I think on question, because we're sharing the report itself, not really the page of the report. Um, how can I explain this? So technically, if you're sharing the report to a particular group, all right, um, you need to check if you're sharing the workspace, all right, because there is a Power BI workspace, the dashboard and everything. You need to check that. If that's the case, you need really a license. But if you're just sharing a report, a link to someone, and like a public link, then you need to just license one particular person to do that. Power BI Pro is the very least license that you can use.
All
Did I
right, thank
answer
you
your
for
question?
clarifying that
Yeah.
question. And actually, the final question or the last question that we have on the chat is also related to the sharing of the dashboard to Power BI using Power BI. So the question goes, are the Power BI Premium can share the dashboard to Power BI free?
Power BI Premium can share. Yes, of course. But you were saying, like, if I am Power BI Premium, can I share my license to? Can I share the report to my free licenses user? Yes, of course. Even if they're not licensed, Power BI Premium has a capability to, embed and share a specific dashboard or report, even a secured one.
All right, and we have one more that just came in, which will be answering the last. Is Power BI under the Power Apps?
Under the Power Apps, so sorry if I may rephrase that. Do you mean that is Power Apps can be embedded to Power BI, or a Power BI report or the dashboard can be embedded to Power Apps? When we say under, are we talking about infrastructure? Because in terms of infrastructure wise, so Power Apps has a different hosting procedure, or how Microsoft crafted that in on Azure, but they're all hosted on Azure. In terms of capability, can I embed Power Apps on my Power BI? Check, yes. Can I embed my Power BI to my Power Apps? Yes.
All right, so I think that was the last question that we have. All right, so again, thank you, Paul, for sharing your expertise, and thank you everyone who joined and stayed up to the top of the hour. So we're moving on to the next part of the program, wherein we'll be sharing to you a link to our feedback form. So I know you still have a lot of questions in mind. So if you have any questions, please also add it here on the feedback form. You also are entitled for Grab food vouchers as a token for your attendance. And thank you everyone for your time. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have any additional questions or would like to connect directly with us, you can email us at sales@phildata, or you can reach out to your assigned account managers. For more information and updates, you can also reach us to our social media accounts. Our social media handles are one Data. You can also search for Data. So thank you for your time, and you have a wonderful rest for your day. This is the end of our Power Series webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laylord.